Diplomacy Dojo with Dr. Ann Su.
Do you have feedback that you want to give to your boss, but you're not sure how it'll be received? Would you like to know the most effective way of communicating with your boss? I'm going to give you 6 key tips to keep in mind that will allow you to be most effective when you want to bring up issues with your boss. The first tip is to see if you can frame what you want to say in the form of a question that is a request for help or for clarification. When we want to address an issue, we don't always have to directly point out what's wrong. Instead, what we need is to understand the reasons behind a situation and come to a mutually satisfying solution. For example, if you feel that you're not getting the advancement that you should be, you could ask, "Can we talk about how I can prioritize work that maximizes my chances of getting to the next level?" Or if you feel like you're not being recognized for your work, you could ask, "Can we talk about how I could prioritize work to maximize impact?" Or if you're unhappy about a decision, you could say, "I'd like to understand the considerations for how the decision was made. Could we have a chat about this?" Framing your issue as a question is beneficial because often people are more receptive to a request for help than they are to a critique. Tip 2 is to come with suggestions for win-win solutions. Your boss is very busy, and your feedback will be better received if you show that you're not about unloading problems, but you're about bringing solutions instead. These solutions should be win-win in that they allow you to be more effective, but they also allow your boss to look good and/or further their goals. For example, instead of saying, "I've been unhappy because I want more visibility at work," you could say, "I have some topics I think I would like to discuss at the next company-wide meeting, which would help bring recognition to our team. Would it be possible to see how this could be scheduled in?" Instead of saying, "I'm fed up with our inefficient ways of working," you might suggest, "I have some ideas for automating workflows that could enable all of us to be more efficient." Instead of just saying, "When you said my proposal was a bad idea without discussing further, I felt frustrated," you could say, "Can we arrange a discussion to talk about why my proposal doesn't work? I can summarize these into best practices for the team because I think clarity on this is something everyone can benefit from." Tip 3 is to take responsibility for anything that you might have had control over in the situation. Your boss will be more responsive to your feedback if you show that you're willing to be accountable for anything that you could have had influence over in the situation. For example, you might say, "I realized I could have asked for clarity on the priorities earlier, and I've made a note to do that in the future." Or, "I realized I could have delegated more efficiently, and this is something I need to work on." The more you show willingness to take ownership and accountability, the more your boss will trust you and be open to your feedback. Tip 4 is to use objective language. Everything you say should be factual and undeniable. Don't say things like, "You ignored me." Instead, you could say, "We met once this month." Instead of saying, "You dismissed my idea," you could say, "You said, that's a bad idea," without further elaboration. Instead of saying, "You loaded me with unreasonable amounts of work," you could say, "I've had to work until 9 p.m. every day this month." Tip 5 is to also give positive feedback. Think of moments where you felt good at work and express appreciation for that. Any improvement-oriented feedback that you have will be better received if you also have positive feedback. To emphasize your commitment to doing your best work, link the positive feedback to how it helped you be more effective. For example, you might say, "The extra time you spent going over my presentation really helped me understand what's important for making better presentations in the future." Or, "Allowing me the chance to field the client questions at the meeting really boosted my confidence in being able to hold client meetings." Tip 6 is to consider the time and context. Unsolicited feedback should always be given in private. Also consider the context. Work is usually busy, and often there's never a perfect time, and sometimes you just have to say something. However, if it's an exceptionally overwhelming time, it might be better to wait. We can never guarantee how someone's going to respond to what we say. It could be that due to the context of your work or the personality of your boss, that you don't get the response that you want to the feedback. However, if you follow these tips, you'll better your chances of getting a positive response, and you'll also know that you did the best that you could in providing feedback in a way that was effective and professional.
For more tips and tools to practice effective feedback, please visit diplomacydojo.com.